Hello students, in today's class we will study about one of the principles of OOP, that is inheritance. Little bit idea you all have about inheritance, right? You all know the definition of inheritance, like what is inheritance. So from the definition what we say is, what is inheritance? The process by which one class acquires the properties of another class, that is called inheritance. Now here properties means the data members and the member methods. Now when we will study about inheritance, we will learn about two more terms, that is base class and derived class. What is base class? Now the class from which the properties are inherited, that is known as base class. And the class that inherits the property, that is known as derived class. For example, to make it very simple, let me take the example of a father-child relationship. What happens in a father-child relationship? Consider the father as the base class or the parent class. What happens to the child? The child acquires some properties from the father, and along with that, the child has its own property also. Yes? For example, a child inherits the blood group from his father. Okay. Along with that, the child has its own property, like a child can have height that is different from his father, so that will be his own feature. So this is what inheritance is all about. Next, what is the use or what is the need of inheritance? Inheritance is used for reusability of code. And what it does? It establishes relationship between the classes. Okay. Now when we will write programs using inheritance, that time we will understand that how inheritance is reusing the code. Right? Now, next is different types of inheritance. The first one is single inheritance. What happens in single inheritance? You'll see the diagram first. What is there? We are having a base class and we are having a derived class. Now in single inheritance, a subclass inherits only from one base class. Okay? So when a subclass inherits only from one base class, it will be known as single inheritance. Next comes multiple inheritance. When a subclass inherits from multiple base classes, it is known as multiple inheritance. And remember, Java does not support multiple inheritance. Next is hierarchical inheritance. What is hierarchical inheritance? When many subclasses inherit from a single base class, it is known as hierarchical inheritance. As you can see in the diagram, we are having one base class and many subclasses. This is known as hierarchical inheritance. Next comes multi-level inheritance. When a subclass inherits from a class that itself inherits from another class, it is known as multi-level inheritance. Okay. Now let us see this diagram so that it will be clear. What is happening here? A subclass is inheriting from a class. So we will first consider this subclass C. C is getting inherited. C is inheriting B class. Now B is base class of C but subclass of A. So this is multi-level inheritance. Next is hybrid inheritance. What happens in hybrid inheritance? A subclass inherits from multiple base classes and all of its base class inherits from a single base class. For example, D is the subclass. D is inheriting from multiple base classes. Now these base classes are again inheriting from a single base class A. Clear? So this is hybrid inheritance. Next, how we will write or how we will implement this inheritance in a program. What is the syntax? So, for example, my base class is ABC and my derived class is XYZ. Now, how to show that XYZ is inheriting class ABC? For that, we need a keyword that is known as extends. Extends is keyword is used to show the property of inheritance. So what we will write? First we will define the class, base class. So here my base class is ABC and the derived class is XYZ. So after defining the base class, we will define the derived class. How to define it? Write class name, then derived class, class keyword, then derived class name, then extends keyword, and then the base class name. This is how we have to follow the syntax when we are writing the program using inheritance. Next comes the access specifiers. How the members of a one class will be accessible to other class will depend on their access specifier. Now let us see this table. If the member type is public, then the member type will be available within its own class, that is inside its own class, and inside subclasses. If we are considering the subclasses, then we have to see whether they are in the same package or they are in some other package. If they are in same package, then yes, if the access specifier is public, they will be accessible. If they are in other package, then also they will be accessible. If they are non-subclasses, okay, if they are non-subclasses, then also if they are in the same package, they will be accessible. If they are in other package, they will be accessible. That means if the access specifier is public, they are accessible to all. Next comes protected. If the access specifier is protected, then inside the class they are accessible. Inside subclass, again we will consider whether they are in same package or not. If it is a subclass, the package doesn't matter. Whether they are in the same package or whether they are in a different package, they will be accessible. If they are non-subclasses, then if non-subclass and if they are in the same package, then they will be accessible. Non-subclass, other package, not accessible. Then comes the default or friendly access specifier. Inside own class, yes. Inside subclass, same package, yes. Subclass, other package, no. Now, non-subclass, same package, no. Non-subclass, other package, no. Okay. Then comes private protected access specifier. Inside own class, yes. Inside subclass and same package, yes. Inside subclass, other package, yes. Inside non-subclass, same package, no. Non-subclass, other package, no. Then comes public specifier. Inside own class, yes. Inside subclass, whether it is same package or different package, doesn't matter, it won't be accessible. Inside non-subclass, again it won't be accessible. Okay, so this was the theory part for today's class, and we will end the theory part here only. Next we will see a program where we are going to implement this inheritance property, and I'll show you how can we use the code of one class into another class. Clear? Okay, now let's start doing the programming. First, what will I do? First, I'll make a class calculator. So let me create a class named as calculator. Now I will be showing a sample program that will use the basic functions of a calculator like addition, subtraction. Okay, so the first class that I am making is calculator class. Now you'll see, as soon as I have created the class calculator, here a file calculator.java gets created. Now I will write the code for this calculator class. Okay, so what I have done, class calculator, then I have written a method public void add, which is adding two integer type numbers a and b, and I'm printing the sum. So this is all about the calculator class. This calculator class is having a function named as add. So it's doing its work. Now let us check whether it is working or not. No syntax error. Now see, as soon as I have compiled the class, one more file gets created with the name dot class. Class name dot class. This is my white code file, and this dot java is my source code file. Okay, so let's create the object and let me give the values as 2 and 4. Okay, I'm showing 6. Done. Next, what we will do, I will create one more class. As I said that it is reusing the code. So second class I'll create as calculator 2. Now why I am creating this class? For example, let us assume that I have created this calculator application and I have given it to a customer. Now the customer was very happy in the beginning that he got a function to add two numbers. As the days went away, he thought that why not having a subtraction function? Why not to have a multiplication function? Only addition is not working. So what he told, that you try to add two more functions that will subtract the numbers and that will multiply the numbers. Very good. We have to do that. So for that, what we will do, we will create another class that is named as calculator 2. Why another class? Because in this calculator class, we cannot do modification, or we are not supposed to do any modification. We are not having that right to do the modification. We are just assuming it, that we cannot modify this class. So there is no other option. What we have to do, we have to create another class that we have created. Now what will I do? I will write the code here. Class calculator 2. So class calculator 2. Now as we said, we can reuse the code. So what we will do? We will open the source code of this class. We will just copy it and we will paste it here. So we got one function add. Now we have to write one more function that will be subtract. So public void sub int a comma int b, and then system dot a minus b. Then We have written the subtraction function also. One more function is left, that is multiplication. So again we will write public void now let us compile it. Very good. We have reused the code. We have used this public void add function from another class which was already defined. As we cannot modify that class, so we have copied the code and we have written it here. Now, what is the disadvantage of doing this? Why we will not do this one? This is not the correct way of writing a program. Why we will not do? Now, in this class, what happened? In calculator class, we were having only one function. Suppose if there were 100 of functions in that class. And what we would have done? We would have copied those 100 functions here. Now, while copying, there are chances of making mistakes. If we leave one function from there, we are humans, we can do that. Another thing is that when we are copying the code from one class to another, the code is getting repeated. There are chances of redundancy. There are chances of using more space. Yes. And above all, as we were having the source code, so we could copy it from the source code from that class to this class. Suppose if we don't have the source code of this class, then what will happen? It may happen like that. Yes. Now what will I do? I will remove this .java class. Just we are assuming that we don't have this source code of the calculator class. If the source code is not there, and it's not possible for us to copy the methods and the codes from the class, so what will I do? I will intentionally delete this file. Yes. Now, .java means this is the source code file, and .class means this is the bytecode file. Okay. Now, when we are removing that, what will happen? Let me close the window. See what happened from here? The calculator class is removed. No more we are having the source code of calculator class. Okay. Now from here also, I will delete this function, as this is not the proper way. Though you all may say that yes, we are using the code, but this is not the proper way. Now here comes the utilization of inheritance. What we will do, as we are having the .class file of the previous class, calculator class. Calculator class is going to be my base class. Okay. So what we will do, we will write here class calculator 2 extends calculator. Done. Now what we will do, we'll write here a main function. Inside this main function, I'll create an object of the derived class, that is calculator class. So calculator 2 ob equals to new calculator. Done. Now what will I do? I will call the methods. Which methods I'll call? I'll call the method of the base class, that is of calculator class. The calculator class was having add method. So I'll write here ob dot add. Two variables were there. So I'll write 2, 3, two integer type variables. Then I'll write here ob dot sub. Sub is the method of the derived class. So I'll write here 3, 4 and ob dot must, where I'll write 3. So what happened here? We are using the member method of the base class, and what we are doing, this calculator2 class is having its own new feature, that is this subtraction and this multiplication, along with the feature of or the property of the base class. Yes, now we will compile this code. No syntax error. Void main. Okay. See, it's giving. This is the addition result. I think 2, 3 I have given, so it's 5. Then it's giving the result of subtraction, and then the result of multiplication. So what it is doing, this calculator, I have created the object of the calculator class. Yes, I have executed the calculator class. Now this calculator class is using the feature of the previous class calculator. Sorry, this calculator2 class is using the feature of the base class calculator, which was created previously. You can see here. Okay. Now intentionally what I have done, I have removed the source code of that calculator class so that we cannot copy the code from there. So instead of copying the code, we have used the feature of inheritance using the keyword extends. Now this is all about inheritance, and this is how we are going to implement this feature or this property of inheritance into our program. Clear? So we'll end our class here only today, and next day we will learn into details. We'll learn some more things about inheritance. So until then, thank you.